Hello everyone, welcome to part 14, module 1, computer networks. So the topic we were discussing so far is what called functionalities of computer network, and we covered most of the mandatory and optional functionalities. See what I think we started our discussion with the so-called error control, then we move on to flow control, access control, congestion control, multiplexing, demultiplexing, addressing, everything we covered in detail. Then we started our discussion with the optional functionalities like routing, internetworking, ordering, fragmentation, reassembly, quality of service. Now it's time for us to cover the remaining 3 more functionalities that I listed, but you know the list is not ending at this point, it keep on adding. Okay, many such functionalities were there, but the important ones were covering. So security, as you all know, how you can define a secure system is it should be. So we have terminologies like confidentiality, authentication, and integrity. So hope you have a brief idea about it. So you can define a secure system as the one, so which is having this confidentiality, authentication, and integrity. So together these 3 things. So what is this first circle? It's for confidentiality, then integrity, and authentication. Okay, authentication. So look at the overlapping session, this overlapping area. So this is what a secure system. Again, security itself is a vast topic. We are not moving that in detail. So just an overview. So this is how you can define a secure system. Confidentiality in the sense the information which you are trying to communicate should be confidential. It should not be revealed to a third party who is trying to listen to your communication. Integrity means what is being sent by you should be exactly received by the receiver. There should not be any modification for the information that is being sent. In a very brief view. Authentication means whether an authenticated valid customer is being or client is being participating your communication. So in that way we can see these 3 things, and for a secure system we need confidentiality, authenticity, and integrity to meet together. Okay. Now so these things were noted down here. The last major design issue of a computer network is to secure the network by defending it against the so-called threats, the possible attacks which will exploit the vulnerability of the system. So one such threat is that eavesdropping on communication. This is something you all are familiar, right? So someone who is not part of the communication is trying to listen you. So maybe he will be getting some valid information, or some of your credential which he may be using in a wrong sense in later point of time. So mechanism that provide confidentiality means the protection from eavesdropping, defend against this threat, but this eavesdropping kind of threat, and they are used in multiple layers of the computer network. So authentication, why it is said so, the confidentiality we are achieving mainly with the concept of encryption, decryption. We have some, so it is actually coming as part of the application layer. So where you want to provide this security is up to you. If you want, you can provide security to all the layers of the software computer network, so that it will be very secure one. Okay, so depending on the requirement you have to decide and you have to provide, but there are certain applications who don't need this security at all. If that is the case, then you can proceed in that way. So that is why again the security is not mandatory function. So that depends. If the application demand for it, try to give it. And the next one is authentication that prevents someone from impersonating someone else, like someone is trying to communicate with someone else, acting like it is a third one, right? So it's a kind of impersonating one's identity, right? So it can be used to find fake banking sites from real one, or to let cellular networks. So that is one scenario, right? The fake banking site that will exactly look like the valid one. So a kind of authentication is missing in that particular analogy. So, or to let cellular network check that a call is really coming from your phone when you pay the bill. So you are supposed to pay the bill, but whether it is you are paying for what you already made, or someone else is taking your credential and he is making that call or not. So that kind of authentication checking we need at every aspects of communication. Other mechanisms for integrity, so that is another terminology, integrity, that prevent the possible changes to message, such as altering, say, debit my account $10 say $10 to debit my account, so just added 2 more zeros. So this is an integrity violation, instead of $10 now $1000 is being debited, right? So that is not a good thing. So it's a kind of modification happened to the communication, so it leads to integrity violation. So this is what I tried to say in the first part, like confidentiality and protection from eavesdropping kind of attack threat, authentication, protection from impersonating someone else's identity, integrity in the sense protection from possible modification, like what mentioned here. So if a system is having protection from all these kind of threats, or it is having confidentiality, authentication and integrity, we can call it as a secure system. And all those things we are dealing under a topic called cryptography, that you might be studying in your subsequent courses. Anyway, that is in that you will go in detail how system can be secured, what are all the algorithms running on the background, everything you will be seeing in detail when you learn that course. So here just a overview of security. So as I already told you, like this encryption and decryption is by which you can provide the so-called security at any point, like mainly for confidentiality. What the original message you will scramble, and you will make something different from the original one, so that by looking at the scrambled or the encrypted new form of the message, the original one can't be traced easily, okay, provided you don't have the so-called key by which you are locking and unlocking. Okay, so key is a special message, part of the communication with which you are encrypting and you are decrypting, so locking and unlocking your system, something like that. So encryption and decryption, security method in which the information is encoded in such a way that only authorized user can read it, provided the authorized user is having the credential to understand or decrypt. The original message you are scrambling, the result is called encrypted one, and that you will be communicating to the other one. And once the receiver received that encrypted one using that key, if he is an authorized user, then only he will be having that key for unlocking it. He can decrypt it back and he will get the original message. So methods and all I am not discussing at this point. Just hope you get an idea about what is this encryption and decryption. So these encryption algorithms generate the output of the encryption algorithm is what we call as a ciphertext that can only be read if decrypted. So this is a terminology, like from the sender side. So whenever a message is given, the original message we call as a plain text. Okay, and some encryption algorithm will be running at the sender side, and this encryption algorithm will take the plain text and it will be so this is my sender. Okay, it will be converted to something called a ciphertext. So ciphertext is the output of the encryption algorithm, and this ciphertext or the encrypted message will be communicated over the channel, and when it is being received at the receiver side, the receiver will execute something called a decryption algorithm. Decryption, just opposite to what this encryption, and this decryption algorithm will take the ciphertext and it will be giving you the original plain text back. So this is the overall idea. Okay, so some terminologies only. What is plain text, what is ciphertext, what is encryption, that process of conversion of plain text to the scrambled one, that is ciphertext. Similarly, the reverse process of converting back the cipher text to plain text is called a decryption. So that about the overview. Now types of encryption, we have symmetric key encryption and public key encryption. In symmetric key encryption, the sender and the receiver will be sharing a common key, and the key communication is a critical challenge. In that case, the key should be confidentially communicated to the receiver. Public key encryption, there is no secret key specifically, and it is being communicated. Instead, we are using a pair of key, a private and a public key. Anyway, I just want to mention the name only, because we don't have to go in detail into this. So this is just my intention is to give you an awareness about one of the optional functionality for the computer network is providing securities. There are number of methods like this. Any one of them should be used properly as per the request of the application. And some other optional functionalities were compression and the opposite thing, that is decompression. That is something you all know, the zip application or something, right, where the original message you will compress and you will make it a very small size one. And you will be wondering how this is done. Actually whenever you are trying to communicate something, there will be many redundancy, right? For example, simply imagine a black and white image. There will be a number of black dots followed by a number of white dots. So instead of repeatedly sending these black and white dots, you can just maintain a count something. So the essence is try to eliminate redundancy and make the information as small as possible, as compressed possible. And once the compressed one, you can easily communicate to the receiver, and at the receiver side it will be decompressed back to get the original one. So compression reduces the size of the document for storage as well as transmission. The compressed files are relatively small in size. They can be downloaded faster and they are easier to transport. So decompression or expansion restore the document to its original size. The compression is actually trying to eliminate redundancies in the pattern of the data. For example, if a black pixel is followed by say 20 white pixels, so instead of keeping those 20 white pixels, there is no need to store all these 20 white pixels. So what you can do is a coding mechanism can be used that only the count of the white pixels is stored. So we will simply count all the white dots. So instead of keeping all the white codes and their coordinates stored somewhere, we will just store from here to here. White dots were coming, so this many white dots, so that count you can store. So that will take very less space compared to storing all the dots. So and at the decompression algorithm, what it will do, by looking at the count, it will reproduce the original message by putting that many white cells at the white pixels at the receiver side. So once such redundancies are removed, the data object requires less time for transmission over a network. This in turn significantly reduces storage and transition cost, of course. And we have two categories of compression encryption. We already seen here it is lossy and lossless compression. I am not going in detail. Simply understand that lossy means when compressed one, you are decompressing back something you may lose. You will not get exactly the original one. Lossless means what you are compressed, when you decompress back, you will get the original one exactly without any loss. So for text information, lossless compression is what is preferred, and Huffman encoding, you may be heard, that is a technique for doing this lossless compression, Huffman encoding. Okay, so what I am trying to say, this lossless compression, as the name suggests, information loss will not be there. When you decompress back, you will get the original file exactly as it is. So normally for text files we are preferring, because we don't want to miss even a single letter, right, so that the text will be interpreted differently. And one such lossless compression technique is a well-known one, Huffman coding. Okay, and you can see, if you are interested, it's a very nice coding, or you may be studying in future. So lossy compression, on other hand, it's mainly preferred for this video, audio, video, MPEG, JPEG, those standards you are knowing, right? So mainly for video and audio, particularly video. So this so-called moving picture export group, joint photographic export group, these people are doing the kind of lossy compression inside their files. Okay, so anything you can follow, and many other compression techniques are of course there. but we don't want that much detail. So for the time being, compression decompression, that is also one of the design issues or functionality of any computer network. Now one more thing I just want to note down is checkpointing. That is something you all know, right? Checkpointing is a technique that provides fault tolerance for computing system. It basically consists of saving a snapshot of the application state so that the application can restart from that point in case of a failure. So simply you can understand it like this. So you try to download some videos, say from YouTube and all, and in while downloading, maybe the file is of some X kilobytes or something, X bytes, okay, and when you download some half of it, is immediately got a power failure or a network failure. And when you try to download that file once again, sometimes the file will try to start download from the very initial point, right? So that time you may not be happy, right? Because some enough network bandwidth is spent for downloading half of it, but due to this failure, now you have to move back and you have to start from scratch, right? But when it comes to checkpointing, in between you can have that permanent saving point. So automatically whenever that download process reaching at that point, so whatever things downloaded, that they will keep as safe and permanent for future reference, so that if you try to download again, it will start downloading from the point till what that checkpointing is done. So that is something known to all of us, the same concept only. So it's a way of providing fault tolerance, in the sense if there is some unexpected failure of fault, we should get the original we should be able to restart back to the original point, and it is achieved by means of saving at some regular intervals and restoring back, and this concept is called checkpointing. So that is also not a mandatory functionality. If an application requires it, if it is added, the application will be more usable, right? So that about it, and with which we can wind up our discussion on the entire concepts. If you want, let me go back to an overview. So this is where we started our discussion. So what we were discussing so far is the functionality of computer network, or the design issues of computer network layers. So mandatory and optional functionality, and all of them that I listed, I covered. I tried to give you an overview of this. So whenever you are hearing such a terminology, you just have a minimum understanding of what it is, okay? So now you have to understand it like this. This is not a list that is ending at this point, okay, and it will keep moving, and you can see like some 70 around such functionalities are normally listed out in literature, and all these functionalities together we have to implement. And if you try to implement it as a single big software, it is not going to be working fine. So what we will do is all these functionality together we will divide into different layers, and we will implement them layer by layer, okay, and that concept we will see very soon. So with this let me wind up discussion. Okay, thank you. In between that mouse pointer stuck for some point, that is why. Okay, let's